Welcome, everybody, to another episode of OTR's Vantage Point. I am your host, Mark Kelley from Kelley Defense. Wherever you are, thank you for making this part of you today. Don't forget to check out our past episodes of the Vantage Point, plus our flagship, wildly popular, top 2.5% globally in popularity, On the Range podcast with HOGG Tactical and Kelley Defense. And don't forget to check out Rick on HOGG Words of Wisdom. Now, I want to talk about sports again, and I think the reason this topic is interesting because it transverses from entertainment to some of the stuff that Rick and I do on YouTube and all these other things and being content creators and podcasters into sports. Jake Paul, Logan Paul, both of them internet superstars, YouTube channel creators. Of course, Logan Paul being the host of Impulsive. Great podcast. Check it out. I recommend it. A lot of entertainment on there. It's funny to see sports and UFC guys reacting to Jake and Logan Paul. You can't get too mad at them because some of the things that they are doing, you guys should be doing. I think that's what really strikes a chord. He's getting all this publicity, all these views. Now, I know the Tyron Woodley fight, number 2, they're indicating that it was, 65,000 buys. I mean, that's a lot of jack still, but not what they were hoping, and I think Jake even admittedly said it wasn't our best day, but it was over 65,000 purchases. And I think that had a lot to do with the fact that was supposed to be Tommy Fury who backed out. A real boxer. And that was one of the criticisms for Jake Paul. Well, you're not really fighting a real boxer. You're fighting these guys from MMA or former MMA guys. Well, that's because no one will fight him. None of these boxers, there's no upside for them. It could be a good payday, but if you lose, you know how it is. Oh, that guy's a bum if he loses one fight in boxing. It's not like that in UFC. You can fight multiple times and lose. Some of the biggest stars haven't been doing so well, or they're 50-50, but they're still huge stars, big draws. It's not like that in boxing. And a lot of it's their own fault. It's not Jake he might be putting the last nail in the coffin, but he's not killing boxing. Boxing is going down the tubes for a long time. Name me 5 top 10 contenders. Name me 5. I tell you what, name me 3. Just do it to yourself. Think about it. Just think about it. So it's interesting to watch Jake and Logan Paul do their thing. They're superstars. Undeniable. They were already superstars, and they brought a lot of that following with them into the sports arena, which isn't easy to do. It doesn't happen a lot of times when people go from sports to entertainment or vice versa. Not everybody is a Peyton Manning or a Michael Strahan that can, Jesse Palmer that can make it in TV or whatever from sports. Most of them can't. But Jake and Logan Paul seamlessly have been doing that. And if you're boxing, you got no one to blame but yourselves. Marvin Hagler, Roberto Durant. Those guys fought all the time, at least 2 times a year. It was always on free TV. I know it was a different time back then. And all these fights are all super fights because they can't get anybody to watch just regular fights. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. So Jake Paul is out there getting these controversies. He gets UFC President Dana White to respond to his stuff with these big, long tweets, criticizing what he's saying and maybe even proving him wrong, but it doesn't matter because they're talking about it. And Jake knows that. Jake and Logan are brilliant marketers. And he makes a lot of good points too, Jake does. He's not working for anybody. He works for himself. All these UFC fighters are hamstringed by their contracts. Now, they're getting paid well. I don't think that UFC is necessarily underpaying. When you're the only big dog in the house, you can establish fair market value, right? These guys are getting paid. But Jake's right. He works for nobody. He's making the big bank, and he can make these guys make big bank if they come and fight him. But it's got to make sense for Jake and for Logan. It's got to make sense. And they know that. When Tommy Fury backed out, a true boxer, when he backed out and Tyron Woodley stepped in, honorably stepped in, he got knocked out, but he took the fight on short notice and they made some decent money. That was big. That was big against boxing. It shows that many of these boxers are simply afraid to fight Jake Paul. even despite the fact that they might be making a lot of money. Now, again, these other boxers who are bad-mouthing him and some of these other UFC fighters and former UFC fighters, they're upset that he's making all this big money and getting this big draw and all this big interest. Well, where's your creative guy? Where's your guy doing the same thing that Jake is doing? Getting the buzz moving. Getting people talking about it. That's one thing. Everybody's always talking about Jake and Logan Paul. Always. They don't necessarily have to go out there and make bad press, but they throw a statement out here that, ruffles the feathers of somebody, and then they put it out. It's free advertisement for them. Free advertisement. It's really been fascinating to watch. And it's really put the final nail in the coffin, like I said before, about boxing. It's just done. It's terrible. Can't even name a top five when back in the day you had Thursday night fights on USA Network. You had Wide World of Sports would have Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, big fights. Everybody was watching. Everybody was watching. So where does he go from here? I don't think it's any question that there's going to be another promotion, some other kind of contest. I heard that Masvidal and Nate Diaz were indicating that they were wanting to fight Jake. It's not going to happen. I haven't heard nothing since he knocked out Tyron Woodley, convincingly. Now, Jake and Logan Paul, they're tough guys. Been athletes their entire lives. They're big. Big, strong, fast, young. Wrestlers all the way through high school and college. And now they're throwing their hands very well. They're throwing their hands very well. They're not crazy about stepping in the ring. And then you always hear that, well, why don't he go to UFC and fight one of the guys? Why would he do that? First of all, he doesn't, like I said before, he works for himself. He's not going to sign a contract under their rules and for their money. It's not going to happen. He doesn't need to. He doesn't need to. 65,000 purchases. My understanding is that when Tommy Fury backed out, the promotion was at risk. Jake Paul brought it together. Tyron honorably came in and took the fight so that all those guys could get paid. All the lower card fights, all the promoters, all the trainers, all the coaches. That's going to resonate with the rest of some of these boxers and some of these other fighters. It's going to resonate. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see Jake Paul start bringing in his own talent and have them come into his promotion that are regulars that people can get behind. Maybe he's the savior of boxing. I don't know. Instead of the destroyer of it, of traditional boxing. Maybe it needed to be because it wasn't doing a very good job and everybody's lost interest. Tell me what you think about this take. Go ahead and leave me a comment below and hit subscribe. Bang on those notification bells if you're watching on the video side. And if you're listening on the audio, go ahead and give us a 5-star rating. And don't forget to check out our other episodes of Vantage Point, HOGG Words of Wisdom, and of course, the wildly popular On the Range podcast. And at the very least, do us a favor, share this audio, share this video, and don't forget to check out warhog.com and kelleydefense.com. Tell me what you think. Have a great weekend, guys.